And I call the honourable member for Perth.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. We had just before the budget, we had the Prime Minister come into town and to tell the people of Western Australia that after the sterling efforts that had been made by members of his team, that he was actually going to take note of the problem that West Australian had with its GST, that he agreed that it was unfair that Western Australia was only getting 30 cents in the dollar for its GST. And so what he was going to do is he was going to make up the gap between what we got last year, which was 37%, and what we were going to get under this new highly dodgy process that the Grants Commission had embraced, and taking us down to 37%. So he was going to make the difference up. He was going to give us $499 million. Now, I thought that's great. He was going to give the state of Western Australia a one-off grant. Couldn't get that resolution on the matter, but he was going to give Western Australia a one-off grant of $499 million. Now, we welcomed that. I publicly welcomed it. It was good, following on the announcement that Labor had made a couple of weeks before that we were going to give a cash grant to Western Australia if we got into government. However, I thought, now let's just wait till the budget comes down, because what will be incredibly interesting to see is whether or not we have robbed WA to pay WA, and sure enough we have. Sure enough, when we look in the budget over the 4 years of the forward estimates, we see the infrastructure. So the one-off grant, the $499 million, was for road infrastructure. We're going to be $499 million better off. But when we look in the infrastructure budget, we see Western Australia has indeed $250 million stripped out of the budget. So, whilst we have given us $499 million in one hand and made much of it, and if I can quote the member, my good friend, the member for O'Connor, he was really excited by this, and he's put a release out, and he's saying he welcomed the Commonwealth Government's invested of an additional $499 million road infrastructure to Western Australia. He didn't mention that we were actually going to lose 250. So, in fact, what we are getting is $249 million. So, and of course, much of the loss has come from sort of scaling back and moving out the much vaunted Perth Freight Link, which indeed is the only new project that this government has undertaken in West Australia. All the other projects were substantially in the budget. And this Perth Freight Link, as the Assistant Minister was saying early on, it is a very exciting project. And as I was saying, it's an extraordinarily exciting project. It's a project that changes on a daily basis, that as they find more and more problems with this cobbled-together project, they are coming up with new solutions each day. So now we're thinking that, in fact, this project is going to involve a tunnel, a massive tunnel, of course, which will add, at the very least, one would expect some $400 million to the cost of this project. It is a project that is going. So it now will be something in the order of a $2 billion project going into a port, which, on the government's own analysis, their own analysis that they put in their alleged business case for this project, will be out of date, will need to be replaced within the next 10 years, and indeed, according to this, within 8 years. So within 2 years, if this project is actually, if it gets built, if they can finally determine what the route is, they are going to be required to have completed the first stage of a new port down in Coburn Sound, a port that has been indeed on the cards for the last 10 years at least. So we are spending all of this money to try to cobble together a solution going into the Fremantle port. Now, why are we doing this? We are doing this because we took $500 million out of Western Australia.